Hurry, get in the car! Quickly, come on! You're safe now, get inside!
The roar of the blizzard made the world feel like it was tearing apart. Snow whipped across the abandoned highway with a fury that seemed almost personal, as if the storm itself was hunting anything that dared to keep moving. Elise's car was one of the last still on the road, creeping inch by inch through sheets of white that swallowed everything in sight. Her fingers ached from gripping the steering wheel. Her eyes burned from staring into the endless blur. The wipers struggled against the ice building on the windshield, smearing instead of clearing. In the back seat, her 2 children huddled beneath blankets, sharing the shaky breath that comes from fear trying to disguise itself as calm. The storm was not supposed to be this strong. Weather reports had warned of snow, yes, but nothing like this. Nothing that could hide the world, bury the road, and turn the sky into a whirling, angry beast. Elise had planned only a short drive to get them home before dark. Now darkness had swallowed everything. Her heart pounded in her ears as the wind shoved the car sideways, making the tires skid across hidden patches of ice. She whispered soft words to her children, hoping her voice sounded stronger to them than it did inside her own chest. Then the engine gave a final cough. It sputtered, choked, it died. The silence that followed was worse than the storm. Elise tried again. Nothing. Tried again. Nothing. She felt cold rush into her lungs. The heater shut down. The lights dimmed. The air grew dangerously still inside the car. Her children looked at her with wide, trusting eyes, waiting for her to fix. This the way mothers always somehow do. But Elise felt something inside her crack. She tried to hide it, but the storm could smell fear. It pushed harder against the car, rattling the doors as if demanding entry. Snow piled higher and higher around them. Windows began to freeze. Over until they could barely see the outside world. Her breath puffed in white clouds. Her children's shivers grew weaker. Not stronger, a warning sign she knew too well. She wrapped them both in her arms, trying to share every bit of warmth. She had left. Her phone showed no signal. No service. No lifeline. The thought crossed her mind that maybe this was how people disappeared in storms, quietly, slowly, without anyone knowing their names or their stories. Then, through the wall of white, something moved. At first, Elise thought the storm was playing a cruel trick. A dark figure emerged, barely visible, swaying in the fierce wind. The shape grew larger with each step, walking directly into the storm's wrath. The snow hit him like claws, yet he pushed forward, steady and powerful, refusing to be turned. Away, fear shot through Elise. She had no way to protect her children if this man meant harm. She pressed them tighter against her, held her breath, and waited. The figure reached the car and leaned close. A gloved hand swept across the fogged, frozen window, revealing a face hardened by cold, but softened by concern. His eyes were sharp, alive, and anchoring eyes of someone who ran toward danger rather than away from it. He pounded on the glass, and his voice tore through the storm like a command from the heavens. "Open this door right now. If you stay in this car, you and your children will not survive this night. Come with me." His voice was harsh not from anger, but from urgency, like a man who had seen too much loss and could not bear to witness another. Elise's instincts warred inside her. Trusting a stranger could be dangerous, but staying here was certain danger. She saw her children's lips turning pale. She felt their cold skin beneath her fingertips. She realized the storm did not care who they were. It would take them all. Without hesitation, her shaking hands finally unlocked the door. The man opened it slightly, blocking the bulk of the storm with his body. A wave of icy wind surged in, stealing their breath. The man moved fast, lifting her younger child gently yet firmly. He wrapped his own scarf around the child without a second thought. He motioned for Elise to follow closely, keeping the older child at her side. They stepped into the storm. Snow stung Elise's face like needles. The wind tried to push her back, but the man forged ahead, clearing a path with the strength of someone who refused to fail. He kept glancing over his shoulder, making sure they were close, making sure they were safe. The ground was uneven, Elise stumbled often, her vision blurred with tears and freezing air. But the man never let the distance grow too wide. Every time she faltered, he slowed, positioning himself between her family and the force of the storm. After what felt like miles, faint lights flickered through the swirling white. A small cabin emerged, glowing warmly like a lighthouse in a frozen ocean. Elise's heart nearly collapsed with relief. Inside, the air was warm and gentle, like stepping into a memory of safety. A fire burned bright in a stone fireplace. Blankets lay draped over a couch, smell of soup simmering on a stove wrapped around them like an embrace. The man set the children near the fire. Elise sank to her knees, overwhelmed. Tears spilled freely now, not from fear, but from the shock of being saved. He warmed the children's hands in his, checking for signs of frostbite. He handed Elise a thick blanket. His movements were careful, deliberate, almost painfully gentle. For someone who looked built to break through storms, she watched him silently, trying to understand why someone would risk themselves for complete strangers. The man sat by the fire, removing snow-coated gloves, staring into the flames with eyes that carried old wounds. Elise sensed a story behind his silence, a history shaped by loss and duty. Finally, he explained, years ago he had lost someone he loved to a storm like this, a night when he arrived too late, when he told himself he could never forgive his slowness. Since then, whenever the blizzard came, he patrolled the roads, searching for anyone stranded, refusing to allow another family to fall to the cold. Elise felt her breath catch. The heaviness in his voice lingered long after he finished speaking. She understood now why he had walked through the storm with no hesitation. He was not saving them for thanks or praise. He was saving them because he could not allow the past to happen again. The night stretched long and quiet. Storm battered the cabin, but inside there was peace. The man watched over the children as they slept curled near the fire. Elise sat on the opposite chair, studying him, realizing she had met someone who carried burdens few could endure and yet chose kindness anyway. In the morning, the world sparkled with fresh snow beneath a clear sky. The storm had passed, but its memory remained etched in the drifts around the cabin. The man helped Elise dig out her car. His movements were efficient, practiced, almost ritualistic. When everything was ready, Elise turned to him, wanting to express gratitude, but unable to form the words that matched the depth of her feeling. She stepped closer and placed a hand over her heart. The man nodded once, understanding more than words could ever say. Her children hugged him tightly before climbing into the car, crouched down, wrapping them both in his arms, whispering something soft that made them smile through the tears. As she drove away, Elise watched him in the rearview mirror. He stood tall and steady in the snow, hands in his pockets, eyes following them until they disappeared beyond the trees. A quiet guardian, a man shaped by storms both outside and inside. She whispered a truth she felt down to her bones. Some heroes do not wear capes or medals. Some heroes walk alone through blizzards, and sometimes the storm sends the right man at the right moment. This world holds people who carry their courage quietly, who act without applause, who step into storms simply because someone needs them. These are the silent protectors, the unseen heroes. The strangers who appear when hope is fading. Share where you are watching from. Tell us what part of this story struck your heart, and subscribe for more cinematic stories that honor the hidden strength in everyday heroes.